Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade, guys. So we have news from the patch 10.1 that affects Mythic Plus dungeons and news that affects us Retribution Paladins. So first of all, let's go through the news of the Mythic Plus changes because you know me, this channel is mostly focused on Mythic Plus content. So let's start with that. Okay, so we have the list of the new affixes that will be coming in 10.1 and the affixes that are going to be removed for Dragonflight Season 2. So first let's talk about the affixes that are going to be removed. So those are Quaking, Grievous, and Volcanic. Okay, my thoughts on those affixes being removed. Quaking, yeah, Quaking just limits design on dungeons because you can't make abilities that require stacking or anything like that, because Quaking just comes at really bad moments and it's just unhealthy for the game. It, like I said, limits designs for the dungeons. Okay, so Grievous and Volcanic, both of those affixes were kind of non-existent for most of the time. Grievous was, you notice it if your group messed up. If your group messed up and your healer had to like catch up, it was really impactful. But if things were going right, it was basically a non-affix. And for Volcanic, yeah, most of the time you never felt Volcanic, especially if you were a melee player, you literally never saw Volcanic. And I guess, well, it's good to see it go, because if you were a range player, it probably was annoying, you know, especially if you were like that lonely range player that was like in a group and then you got all the Volcanics of the mobs. I guess it was really annoying for them. Okay, so what are the new affixes that are replacing those? Well, we have data mining from Wowhead to at least have an idea of how these affixes are going to work. Let's talk first about this one that is called Afflicted. So Afflicted, while in combat, afflicted souls appear that seek aid from the players. They spawn with poison, curse, and disease afflictions. Removing any one of these afflictions or restoring the spirit to full health causes it to despawn. So fail to remove the afflictions in time will inflict players with a negative status effect. So basically, they come with three different like negative effects on the soul. You can dispel it with whatever utility your class, or your healer can heal it to full health so the ghost goes away. If not, you get affected by Afflicted Cry, which is this debuff that will reduce the haste of all players by 100%. So that's really bad if it happens. You know, that's a lot of damage that is going to be lost. As Retribution Paladins, how does this affect us? Not really. We can actually take just dispel poisons, you know, and disease that we have in our talent tree just to help out with this affix. And like crazy situations, maybe a lot of these little ghosts appear and you can like lay on hands one of them and like dispel one of the others, you know. But there's also other people in your group that will probably have the spells, and there's also your healer that can just heal to full the little ghosty things to remove them from the game. So pretty simple affix. I don't think this is going to be annoying. It's pretty simple to deal for us Retribution Paladins. Now let's go to the next one. Okay, the next affix is Entangling. So Entangling is pretty simple affix. While in combat, Entangling binds a snare player. So remember that snares are not roots. A lot of people are like getting crazy all about this because they think that the snare is like a root, like the druid thing that grabs you, you know, and you can't move. No, this is just a 50% slow that will last for 8 seconds, and you have to, if you move away from the center of the effect, you will break the snare and will get it removed, basically. You know, it's like you know, so those quests where you have to pick up like a fruit or something and you have to move away from the fruit to like break a tether that's on the ground. Basically the same thing, just with a slow. So you get slowed, you move away, you get rid of the slow. Pretty simple. As Retribution Paladins, how does this affect us? Basically it doesn't. We have Blazing of Freedom and we have Unbound Freedom, so we can freedom ourselves to remove it, and we can freedom another person and we can still remove the snare from them and from us. So literally this affix does nothing to us as Retribution Paladins, which is a really good thing, I think. Also is like a lot of value for Unbound Freedom, you know, and whenever these affixes go live. Okay, now let's go to the last one. Okay, so the last one is named Incorporeal. So, while in combat, incorporeal beings will appear and attempt to destabilize players with spells that reduce their damage and healing done. Incorporeal beings are susceptible to all forms of crowd control. Okay, so from Wowhead data mining, Incorporeal is a ghost that appears It has this buff that is called Incorporeal. It lasts for 20 seconds. When the buff runs out, the ghost just disappears. The buff makes the ghost take 99% reduced damage, and it's immune to area of effect attacks. I think this means that it's also immune to area of effect crowd control. So this is interesting because it means that someone has to go deal with it with single target crowd control or kicks, you know. The thing that the ghost is trying to cast is this destabilize cast. Your group, if this goes off, will deal 50% reduced damage and healing. So you do not want that thing to go off. Like I said, it's an 8-second cast, so it's a very long time you have to deal with the thing. As Retribution Paladins, we can deal with this pretty easily because we have a kick and we also have a stun, you know. So if you, let's say, kick the first cast at 7 seconds and you stun the second cast at 7 seconds, the third one will just not go off because the ghost will disappear by that time. But there's better classes than us that can deal with it, like classes with spammable crowd control, especially spammable single target crowd control, like let's say mages with polymorph and locks with fear. All in all, I think this Incorporeal affix is going to be mostly a pug difficult affix because there is where people like overlap crowd control and all those kinds of things, you know. And if you're dealing with a trash pack that actually requires like hicks and stuns and stuff, maybe people use it on the ghost instead of using it on the trash pack and stuff can go bad there. I don't see this affix being difficult in organized settings because people can just, when the ghost appears, you just send someone to deal with it, you know. It's pretty simple. You can adapt really easily in organized settings, but in pugs, it's probably going to be a fiesta for some while until people adapt to it and understand the affix. And well, now let's go to our Retribution Paladin specific news. Okay, so we do have some changes for Retribution Paladins in the 10.1 PTR, and most of them are kinda boring though. They're just like tooltip changes, icon changes, and small bug fixes that don't do much. But the really big one is to our tier sets. Yes, our 2 set and 4 set have been adjusted and changed. First, let's talk about the 2 set bonus. So Judgment and Hammer of Wrath now deal increased 10% damage and 20% increased critical strike damage. Hammer of Wrath also applies Judgment to enemies. So this means that critical strike is going to be a lot more valuable next patch, which is a really good thing. At this moment in live, it's already a pretty good stat to have, and it's just going to be even better next patch. Now the really big change to our tier set, and this is to our 4 set bonus. Judgment increases the damage enemies take from our Holy Power Spenders by an additional 5%. And Hammer of Wrath now hits 4 nearby enemies for 20% of its damage. So before we didn't have an AoE component to our tier set and it was really bland, but now we do, and I think this is going to make our 5 target cleave even stronger than it is now, which is a really good thing since this is one of the best Mythic Plus profiles to have. And well guys, that's going to be all for the video today. What do you think about the new affixes? Do you like our new tier set bonus like the 4 set? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you enjoy my content, subscribe to the channel and leave a like in the video. Thanks for watching everyone.